We're going to be dealing with acetone. We're not pouring a giant container of acetone. You could. Don't do that. Hi, I'm Keith. I work here in the LAIKA model shop, and today we're going to show you a method to etch brass plate for a logo, or in this particular case, something we actually did on Missing Link, which was to create this compass using the exact techniques that I'm going to show you that you can do at home, and we use these in a professional film studio. So let's get started. Brass etching is essentially using a chemical and a resist on the metal plate so that the resist is protecting the metal plate and the lack of resist is allowing the chemical or an acid to eat a depth into the metal. It will create embossing that will occur on the surface where the chemical eats into the plate. All right, let's just start in on this. We're going to be doing this with very common paper, semi or glossy photo paper. You can print on a laser toner or like a Xerox machine, not inkjet. It needs to be a toner. You're going to need to use some graphic software to invert the image, and then we're going to reverse it. And the reason that this toner works is that all of this black toner becomes the resist that prevents the acid or the chemical from reaching the metal surface. The little tiny delicate details are going to be the only thing that gets engraved or etched into your metal. The basic idea is that you are going to be transferring this image onto this piece of metal. But before we do that, we're going to have to go over to the sink. Okay, so one of the most important things we've discovered with this is surface prep of your metal, and I think in particular, removing any trace of oil off of the surface of your metal. I just liberally apply some of this cleanser, and you're gonna want to meticulously clean the entire surface of the metal until you basically have an even, finely scratched surface. And the way that you can tell that you've basically completed the surface is how the water sheets evenly off the surface. You can see like right down in the corner, the water sort of is not covering that corner. I'm gonna give that little area just a bit more attention, and there. So the water is sheeting completely off of that. Okay, we are done. Okay, so metal is mostly dry. I have the graphic, again, face down on the metal. You can clearly use an iron if you want, and just iron the top of this onto the paper. I also have sort of standard hot plate. You can literally just put your metal directly on it, and you personally will need to do some experimentation to hit the perfect temperature that reactivates that toner and allows it to melt and fuse to the top of the metal. If you go too hot, or if you apply too much pressure, you will basically smear the image. The way we do this here is using just a standard common laminating press. This one is small. I think it was just designed for ID cards, whatever. You can find these at your local thrift store, estate sale. Like, buy these things used. You're going to pass this through the laminator press. Have this piece. It's just a piece of paper to prevent anything from getting like wrinkled up and gummed up in the machine. So we're going to shove this into the press. It just automatically pulls the thing through. What I do, just because I'm worried about it, I will pass this through the laminator and I'll flip it back and forth each time. Let's just say we're going to run it through 3 times. It makes no sense, I know, but it's like good luck, I find. Theoretically, if we have done everything correct, the toner has basically bonded to the metal surface. And our next obstacle is to remove the paper. And there's a couple of ways to do that. I'm going to show you the super lazy way. I will just throw this into a bowl of water for a couple of minutes. And the water just slowly penetrates the paper, and eventually it just lifts away. One way that you can check and make sure that your surface prep on the metal is good, I always look at this piece of paper. If you messed something up, the little chunks of toner will be stuck back on the piece of paper, and you know that you have to redo it. You don't have to go any further. You can just stop, clean the toner off of your metal, and start over. You can see on here, I am still lightly abrading my finger across this image, and you can actually see the water will get just slightly milky colored. I try to remove as much as possible. It's probably not critical, but my thought is you're getting rid of the little trace amounts of like paper pulp and clay down in the image, and an acid is going to start attacking the metal evenly and give you a much higher quality end result. It's fine. I got enough off. We're going to basically save this and go to the next step. I'm just going to cut a strip of plastic, and this can be any plastic. Ultimately, we are going to tape our metal piece onto this. In this particular case, we're going to use like packing tape, and we're going to cover all areas of this that we don't want the acid to get to. I'm covering the back first. I'm going to trim this. I'm just going to cover all of the edges and tape this to this strip of plastic that I cut a second ago. The goal is to make this as liquid tight as possible around your piece of metal. So you want to leave the toner exposed. So I'm just taping the bare exposed metal around the side. I've wrapped it around so that, you know, theoretically the liquid is not going to slip in behind or attack the edge, because we don't really care about that. We just want it to focus on this microscopic detail right in front. All right, so here's what we're going to be using. Ferric chloride. So not exactly an acid. Clearly there are some danger warning signs on here. It's very common, but it's still a chemical. Make sure you guys read about this stuff. Make sure you have proper gear, gloves, glasses. Make sure that there's not an accidental risk of splashing this, you know. Just be careful with yourself when dealing with stuff like this. But okay, enough of that. So let's take this over to the sink. There are multiple approaches to be taken at this stage. You can see here that we actually have like a slightly expensive chemistry hot plate. Is that necessary? No. You can use this room temperature. I have this about 130 degrees. That's on the upper edge. You don't need this very hot. You do not want to boil this. You want to be careful. If you're doing this at home, this stuff does not produce any harmful gas unless you boil it. So do not overheat this liquid. Keep it warm. You can do it cold. The process takes longer. So as we're immersing the metal into that, depending on the temperature of this, will determine how long this takes. We don't intend to splash this. This is not a filthy process yet, but let's just put gloves on just in case. When we first immerse this into the liquid, you can see a light amount of fizzing that's going to occur and come off of these. So right there. This is happening the entire time that your metal object is in this liquid, and those little tiny bubbles have the possibility of adhering to your part and obscuring the surface of the metal from the rest of the liquid. And so if you don't, the stir plate in our case takes care of that. You can alleviate this with just a little bit of like hand care. So you're going to basically like kind of take the metal out. You can move it around a little bit every few minutes, not constantly, but every couple of minutes you just shift it around a little bit. It'll knock any of those air bubbles off your part. So in our case, we're going to basically kind of just clip this into place. Use whatever you have. I have a 12-minute timer set, and then we'll check back and look and see how deep this etch is proceeding into our metal. Okay, here we go. It's been about 12 minutes. We're going to talk about cleaning and neutralizing this stuff. And the way we neutralize this is with baking soda. So I'm just basically piling a bunch into there, some water. It's like dilution. It just neutralizes the stuff. So we'll get this back on camera. You can see already that a lot of this detail just visually right now seems like everything worked. Tell you what, I am going to clean the toner off of one of these right now so you can see what this looks like coming straight out of the acid. We're going to be dealing with acetone right now. So standard acetone, a little bit of acetone goes a long way. Got a rag, and I'm just going to get a little bit of acetone. And so all I'm going to do is just rub off all of the existing toner, and that's it. You can see that came off rapidly. As you can tell, it's not very dark. We're gonna emphasize whatever we etched by using a variety of chemical patina. There's tons of metal patina formulas, companies. There's liver of sulfur. It's a very common, it's like jewelry product. The reason I like this is that it really makes things look very antique. That's why I like it. It's a unique surface coloration that will occur. And remember, I've stripped one, I left the toner on the other. This is going to be the time saver. You want to leave the toner on until after we color this, and I'll show you why in a second. All of these are different. So again, you guys want to experiment with this stuff, read the directions. I just end up like sort of brushing this chemical over top of the metal. You're going to see in just a split second, it looks like nothing is happening, but after it's 15 or 20 seconds, the chemical is going to darken the surface of the brass. And I'm going to check it. I'm going to just wash this off, and we're going to look at it. So you can see here in the upper area, which was, I had contact with the chemical for longer, it's a little bit more solid. Down below, it had less time. So I'm going to actually put another drop down here, kind of just brush it around. For now, you know what? Good enough. Let's just wash this off. The other piece, remember I told you, we're going to leave the toner on the surface. Well, the toner also resists the chemical patina, so it's going to speed up our cleanup time at this point. So I'm going to do the same thing, rubbing the patina all over the surface, but in this case, the only thing it's attacking is down inside the detail. This one, much quicker, and the cleanup at this point is going to be rapid. Now we remove the toner off of this piece. So back to the acetone. So we're gonna basically clean this up a little bit, but just point of comparison, this is the piece that I left the toner in place, and then I put the patina on, so you can see the patina darkened only the metal in the areas that we etched. I have just randomly a piece of 400 wet dry sandpaper, or I have 1,000. I'm going to try the 400. Again, we're just trying to clean off the excess discoloration off to the side, and it's going to help the details pop once we kind of just clear all that off. Sandpaper is only affecting the top surface, so I'm not going to sand this all the way down, but you can see it's already like popping quite a bit more. And moving on to the next one, this is going to require a little bit more sanding. Okay, so quickly, I'm going to stop right here too, but you can see this is the one that I flooded the entire surface with the patina, and it required more sanding. This one, I left the toner on, and so the patina got down into, it only affected the crevices of the piece, plus it spilled outside over here a little bit. But ultimately I would be cutting that off, so I'm not cleaning this up. Ultimately this would just be the disc that we're making. All right, so there you go. A pretty quick and easy way to brass etch at home with a minimal amount of equipment, really high quality results. So yeah, I hope this works or helps with the next project. And thanks for watching. Let us know in the comments if there's something else specific out of the model shop that you're curious about. Thanks.